quickly, before we get out of here, I'm going to tell a moving story because I think people learning from my mistakes is very, very important, and I do want my listeners to learn from my mistakes. This move, and I'm not done yet. Like this is why I'm scared to like laugh about it too much because I'm in the thick of it. It is not. It is. I'm looking out my window right now, my fat ass U-Haul that I still have 1,000+ miles to drive to get to Chicago. So mistake. The way I would describe how the last 48 hours have gone for me is that mistakes were made, TJ. I want to preface by saying this. Everybody, the Captain Hindsight shit that goes on, I already regret talking about this because the Captain Hindsight shit that goes on when you talk about moving will drive me insane. It is, everybody has the perfect thing that you should do right after you've already made your decision and you'd say like what you did do. And then they're like, why didn't you just simply do this? Which is bullshit because every single person that moved hates it. There's not a single. I've never heard anybody ever move. I was like, actually, my move was awesome. Every single person's move is a pain in the ass. But then when you're telling someone about like your move and why it was a pain in the ass, they're like, why would you do that? You should have done it this way. So I'm driving across the country. All right. So like I think first of all, I should in a perfect world I would have paid people to just like pack my shit and I'll fly to Chicago and meet you guys there and do all and we'll handle it that way. I have a 12.5-year-old golden retriever. He is the greatest fucking dog on earth. I love him to death, and he doesn't fly. I was one of those people that did not lie about my dog being a support animal. I'm an honest person, so I don't take my dog on planes. At this point, even if I wanted to now become a dishonest person, he's too old. Like I'm not taking like a 13-year-old dog on a plane that's never flown before. That would be a nightmare. So I'm not doing that to him. I have to drive my dog across the country anyway. And I thought at that point, if I'm going to be doing the drive anyway, I might as well save a ton of money and drive the U-Haul myself versus paying someone like thousands of dollars just to drive. So here's the plan I came up with, TJ, was I'm going to hire movers. I'm going to get the U-Haul. I'm going to hire movers to pack the U-Haul. I'm going to hire movers in LA to pack the U-Haul. Then I will handle the driving part. I will drive the U-Haul across the country. Then once I get to Chicago, I will hire another set of movers to unload my shit. This made perfect sense in my head. You can hire people to do the whole process for you. I was trying to hire like 2 separate companies to just do half the process. It makes perfect sense to me, right? So first thing I do is I have to get a U-Haul. I go look at the site. I call the place like a few different times. I'm looking at like this 15-footer. I'm looking at my apartment. I'm looking at the shit in my apartment. I'm looking at the 15-footer. I'm like, I don't know if this is right. On the website, it says 15-footer is for if you have a 2-bedroom place, it's going to be enough space. I'm like, I don't know if this is. I call the place. They're like, how big's your place? And I was like, it's not very big. It's a tiny ass place in LA, and like my apartment was like 1,000 square feet. It's like not that big. And he goes, yeah, that's plenty. I mean, you'll have plenty of space. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, you'll have plenty of space. They send me a video where you can see people, like the video is like U-Haul, on U-Haul's YouTube, what fits in a 15-foot truck. And I swear to God, they're using miniatures of all this stuff because they're loading like washers, they're loading dryers. I saw a hippopotamus get loaded into the fucking U-Haul at one point. And I'm like, all right, I'm watching this video and I'm like, perfect. That's plenty of room. That's plenty. If you could fit 2 cars into a U-Haul, into that size U-Haul, we'll be fine. So I get the 15-foot U-Haul. The movers are supposed to show. So the plan was Monday. I hired these movers to show up, or on Tuesday the movers were supposed to show up on at 8 a.m. I hired them for 2 hours. At 10 o'clock, everything's supposed to be out of my place. I was going to then clean the place real quick, toss the keys, and hit the road. I was hoping by noon. And that was even factoring in some unforeseen bullshit that would happen. And I was going to hit the road by noon, and away we were going to go. Movers at 8:45, I've not heard from them. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. I call them. They say we're on our way. We just got caught up in traffic. They're like LA traffic, and I'm like, yeah, LA traffic, man. Like, who could have seen this coming? Who could have? If only there was a way we could have planned for this. Man, this is crazy. There's never traffic in LA today of all days. They so they end up showing up like an hour late. They get there, they assess the place. I should say this. They show up, they call me, they're like, we're outside. I come downstairs, and again, I'm expecting, like, I'm not expecting like the biggest production ever, but like I hired a moving company. I was like, I hired a moving company, you're gonna load the truck for me. I'm not touching shit. Like, I woke up that day thinking, I went and got breakfast, got a coffee. I was just sitting there on my little bar stool at my kitchen island, I'm just gonna chill here and watch these guys move. I'm not lifting a finger. I'm too old for this shit, and this is why I'm paying you guys. So I go down and to meet them once they get there, and it's two dudes, and I shit you not, they're just doing jumping jacks and toe touches.
Wow.
And it's just two dudes. It's two dudes. It's just two dudes. I don't know how else to explain it.
They were just getting the blood pumping outside, or?
And the reason they're doing jumping jacks and all this shit is because they have one dolly, and they have one little like thing, like furniture mover thing that has like 4 wheels on it, like one little, and that's all they have. That's the only equipment they have to move all my shit. And I'm looking at them like, are you guys in the mood? Like, where's the rest of your team? And it's just like two dudes in college that like just wanted a side job or something. I'm like, what the hell? This company I hired, I thought like they got good reviews. I was bamboozled. So they start the moving process. They get up there, they assess, they look at the truck, they're looking at the place. I ask them 100 times because I have my doubts. Like, I was looking at the truck and looking at all the stuff, and I have my doubts. I'm like, do you think all this stuff can fit? Because like we have a lot of shit, man. Like, we have way too much shit in this apartment. Do you think it can fit? And they're like, oh yeah, we're experienced in moving. And this, how big's your apartment? And I was like, what's this mean? Oh yeah, you're gonna be fine. Throughout the whole process, so they start moving. It's taking forever. Like, these guys take a piece down. They sit there with their hands on their hips. They're staring at it. They're and then they put it in. I'm looking at the clock. And it's like I'm hoping to leave by noon. 2 hours in, which I thought the job would be done in 2 hours. They're not even halfway done, and I'm like, what the what's going on here? And I'm asking them the whole time, like, is there enough room? Is there enough room? Fast forward to the obvious conclusion. There's not enough room, TJ. So they're loading up this U-Haul. It takes them. It is now almost 2:00, and I have to put like every hour. By the way, this was like driving me fucking crazy because like every hour, that every time you dip into a new hour, these guys would stop working. They would come up to me and they would just be like, so you're now dipping into another hour. Would you like to purchase another hour of moving? I'm like, bitch, do the job. Just do the job.
They charge you hourly even after?
Yes.
That seems crazy to me.
Well, it seemed crazy to me too, TJ, because I was like, no wonder you're sitting there staring at the fucking U-Haul.
Why wouldn't they just take all day on Yeah, what? That seems
That's what they did. Yeah, that's what I think they did. That's what I'm accusing them of. I'm formally accusing them of doing that. So it's like 1:30, 2:00, something like that, and I'm like getting antsy because I know I have a massive drive in front of me. Plus, we start fucking around too much, we're gonna hit rush hour in LA, and I live on the western part of Los Angeles, so I have to drive through the entire city. This is like, I was like, the whole point of the whole point of the itinerary I'd set forth was that I could leave at like noon in the middle of the day, not have to deal with traffic quite as much. So we're getting into the zone of like, all right, what's going on? So I go down and I look at the U-Haul, and I just see like the thing is like packed to the brim, and there's all my shit just like hanging around the side. And I was like, it's not gonna fit, huh? And they're like, yeah, we I don't know if it's gonna all fit. I don't think it's all gonna fit. And I'm sitting there, just like, at this point, I don't know what to think, TJ. I'm looking at all the shit that we have, because this is the other thing is like, I don't at this point I don't even want any of this shit. Like, I'm sort of hoping that like all of us just go upstairs and then we come back down and like someone stole the U-Haul. That would be like best case scenario, and then I can just like fucking book a one-way plane ticket to Chicago, and like I don't know what I would just like pay someone to ship the dog at that point. I don't know. I was like, I'm so over it. I'm like, I just want to I was completely losing my mind because it had gone on for so long. And the shit because the shit I have is just like, you're looking at it and you're like, why do I have all these books? Like, what do I need I haven't read half of these books. I don't want to read half these books. I got autobiographies of like celebrities that I don't even like, and I just like bought in like 2009 and that I kept. Like, what am I doing? Why did I box those up? That's taking up so much fucking room in the U-Haul. I could have thrown all of those away. I'm getting so upset. I would have done all of this, but I was told I had enough room in the U-Haul, so I was like, just throw it all in. Who cares? Now it's all in, and now like some of the stuff that they have, like they're not putting in, actually does matter to me. And I'm like, well, damn, I kind of want that. And I'm looking, the optimistic person might have looked at all this stuff and thought to themselves, what a blessed life I've lived, that like I am blessed enough to have purchased all these things. I'm living a life without want, and I have all of these great things. I'm doing the opposite, and I'm just like disgusted with myself. I'm like, you fucking glutton. You consumerist glutton, that you've bought all of this stuff. Throw it all away. What are you doing? And it's dawning on me as I'm looking at all the stuff I have, TJ. I own like 3 of everything in the world, but the one thing I didn't have in that moment was a gun to shoot myself in the face and put myself out of this misery. And that's the only thing I wanted, because I don't know what to do. So we call like a U-Haul place and get a trailer like last minute. They're gonna now attach a trailer on, but these moving guys are like, you're already dipping into hour 5. They're like, we can stick around if you want, but the time it takes you're on the clock for like the time you have to now go pick up the trailer, bring it back. We're still on the clock. You're gonna have to pay us to move while you're going to do that, So I was like, you guys can just go. Like, I'm not paying you guys. I've already paid you guys so much fucking money to drag this out and completely ruin this whole thing. So I go get the trailer, I come back, and now I have to move like, I had to move a desk, I had to move like two of my own like patio furniture chairs, I had to move like 2 bookshelves. I have so much shit, and I'm carrying this on my own, losing my mind. Like, I'm staring at the clock because the clock just keeps going on and on. I put all the stuff in the U-Haul, and then it dawns on me that I had bought these guys tie down ropes to tie all the stuff down, and I didn't see them using any of it. So I had thought that the tie down ropes were still in the apartment. So I was putting all this stuff in the trailer, and then I was ready to like tie the stuff down because I don't want it to fly all over the place as I'm driving. And I go to get the ropes, and they're not there. And then I realized that these dudes took like the pack. Like, I bought all these ropes because, by the way, these guys came with no materials. I thought they were going to come and wrap all this shit up. They did not. So I had to go like run and get all this like material for them to like do their job. I had to go. I go to get the tie down ropes to tie down stuff in the trailer, and it's gone. And I realized that they had basically just taken the packaging of the rope. They did not unpackage it at all. They just like stuffed it in the U-Haul and they shut the U-Haul and locked it up. So now I don't have the rope, but like all of my furniture is now in the back of the U-Haul. I don't have a car, by the way. I sold my car, so I'm gonna go to Chicago and like get a new car there. I didn't want to drive. It's a whole fucking mess, dude. So I have to get an Uber to a local boat supply shop to go buy dock lines to tie up all my shit in the trailer. This is just like, and then I'm just like staring at the clock as I'm sitting in an Uber. The clock is just like ticking and ticking and ticking, and I'm going crazy, dude. Because one thing you should know about me is like the slightest bit of adversity sets me off. Like I am very mentally weak, Like I come up against a little bit of adversity and I just completely crumble. So I'm just going crazy, and I eventually tie all the shit. I don't know. I'm dragging the story out too long, but I eventually get all the shit tied up, and we hit the road at I think it was like 6:00, 6:30.
Christ.
And I was planning on noon at the absolute like in a perfect world. I was like, we might get out of here at 10:30. They might get done early. They might get done moving my shit early, and I might hit the road by 10:30, and we might get to Colorado today.
Yeah.
I ended up getting to Vegas like we drove right through the asshole of LA and like dealt with all the rush hour and all that kind of stuff. But dude, it was hell. And I don't know. I'm probably leaving out some other stuff. I tried to block this stuff out. But like my advice to everybody is, if you're booking movers, like make sure you know what you're getting, because I I honest to God thought I was not gonna have to lift a finger. I honest to God thought that like I don't know. I have to learn from my mistakes, but I've never moved with money before. Like I'm not a rich man, but I am a man that like I've reached a point in my life where like I kind of I should pay for shit now instead of like I'm not in college anymore. So this was like the first time I was like going through the process of like, yeah, let me really try to get the right service. Let me try to like actually hire the right people to do this instead of asking my buddy Jake to carry my dresser for me. Because when I moved out to LA the first time, I was living in a house in Ohio and I sold all my shit. And then I also worked at the Ringer, which like I had, speaks for itself. I had $0. So the shit I did have, I just threw in a U-Haul and then I just kind of, did the best I could. So this was the first time I was like, I'm gonna outsmart everybody. I'm just gonna pay for dudes to do it. I paid for the wrong dudes. I completely fucked it up. There are levels to this I didn't understand. I apparently hired just guys to load shit, which I guess I didn't realize. So now I'm like panicking because I think I might have hired the same service in Chicago, and now I have to figure that out. I have to figure out who's gonna, because I'm not doing this in Chicago, TJ.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. So
no, I'm not doing it. I'm in the market for movers right now, so I definitely will take that company name down and make sure to avoid them if they're gonna charge me by the hour and then also sit outside my apartment and make the hours go by faster. That's crazy.
It was crazy.
That can't be what's supposed to happen.
This was the worst moving experience of my life. And again, I'm not even done with it. I'm halfway through it. I stopped. But this is the worst moving experience of my life. And the first apartment I ever moved into in college, when I moved out of the dorms, going into my sophomore year, I'll never forget this at Ohio State. I was moving into this like just disgusting apartment. Right off of Lane, I think it was. Yeah, it was like kind of by the B-dubs there on Lane and High. First apartment I was ever living in on my own in my life. I get the keys to the place. I have the full U-Haul, everything. It was moving day, all that kind of thing, obviously. And I get to the place. I walk up to the apartment. I unlock the door. I open the door. And there are two dudes living in an apartment with furniture everywhere, just sitting on the couch with their feet up, and they're like, one guy's got like, chips in his mouth, and he's just like, what the fuck? Can I help you? And I was like, can I help you? You're in my apartment. And they're like, this is our apartment. And I was like, what the hell? I'll never forget that. And and I was like, all right, well, I guess I can't live here. And then anyway, we had to scramble and figure out where the hell to live, but. I dealt with that once, and this was worse than that. So, anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm slowly losing my mind. The U-Haul. The good news is though, the U-Haul has great cruise control, very comfortable seats, great entertainment options, Sirius XM radio, CarPlay. I'm kidding, obviously. It has none of those things. It's a complete bitch.
It's got the roll-up windows like this.
The roll-up windows. But no, I think ultimately, the problem I fell into, and I'll shut up and we can end the show, but the problem that happens, TJ, is that you are, as a man, you get caught in between of like, there's some things you have to do on your own. Like there's some things that you just say to yourself, like, if this is going to get done and get done right, I have to do it. I have to be the one to do this. Like, I just have to, like, there's no other way around it. Like, I have to be the one to, if I want to drive my shit and make sure it gets to my apartment on time and make sure it gets, on the day that I want to move in, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and be the one to fucking do it. You have to do it. But then there's also the part of you that's like, be smart and pay people to do things and like, pay for services and don't always bite off more than you can chew and like don't. And living in that middle ground will drive you nuts. And like, that's basically what happened to me. It was like trying to thread the needle of like, I have to, cause the movers, like even looking into having people just come pack my shit and like, I'll meet you in Chicago. It was like a 2-week lead time. And I was like, I don't want to wait 2 weeks for my stuff to get there and all that. I'll just take matters in my own hands. I'll drive it myself. There's something about it too that like you take on the challenge of like, I'm going to drive across your state. Sometimes as a man, you just want to slay the dragon, You want to go to the moon. You want to climb Mount Everest. You want to go down and see the Titanic in a submersible. These are challenges you want to conquer. But then when you're in it, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah. Dragons are really hard to kill.
Dragons are hard. Why did I not pay someone to kill this dragon? Oh,